I'll tell you. Good morning. It is 9:30 a.m. On Tuesday, July 18th, the Richland County Board of Commissioners is now in session. I'm County Commissioner Cliff Mears, joined by fellow commissioners Tony Vero, Darrell Banks, our clerk Stacy Crowell, our county administrator Andrew Keller. We have Carl from Richland Source, and online we have Al Lawrence, a number of people. So why don't you go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Jody Perry, Chief Operating Officer at the Chamber.
Barrett Thomas, Economic Development.
Jessica Griffin, Economic Development, Shelby.
Sandy Messner, Director of Marketing and Communications.
Like workforce development.
And given those introductions,
Did you introduce Greg?
I'm sorry,
Did you get Greg?
I'm Greg Kale. I'm the present media guy. So anyway, with those introductions, one might conclude that we're going to have our biannual economic development review. And with that, I will turn it over to whoever would like to be the first spokesperson.
All right, well, I'll just kind of tee things off and then we'll kind of go through. So what we've given you this morning is kind of our halfway through the year reports. Each of the staff is going to highlight some of the bigger projects that they've been working on and some of the early wins that we're seeing through the year. I would just say at a high level, it has continued to maintain its post-COVID crazy pace. In terms of the leads that we're seeing, in terms of businesses that are expanding. We continue to try to help businesses with their hiring needs and of course, just kind of raise the overall visibility of the community through the branding. We're proud to share that we're a finalist on the national level for Chamber of the Year. So we'll find out at the end of this month if we have passed the cut, but to be one of 3 in the nation, we're pretty excited about that as well. So with that, I'm going to turn things over to Barrett Thomas, our Director of Economic Development, to take you through some of his stats.
Thanks. So I've got a couple of stories for you today. Because stories are fun. So I do have some numbers for you, Carl. So we have 6 project wins in the first half of the year, which is pretty good. Some of those, so I've got the stories here. Have any of you been to OxyRays? Darryl? No?
It's all the way out there by the Humane Society, correct? So when you think Park Avenue West, that's Park Ave West, but that's Ontario.
Right.
Or-
Yeah, it's out in Ontario.
Yeah.
So they were in Mansfield a long time ago. They moved out there a while ago. They have filled up their building and the building next to them. So finding space is difficult these days. The real estate market is super tight, especially on the industrial side. And they had a building that opened right next to them. They took that building, built a little Segway. There's a word for building connection. I don't know.
Connector.
A connector. And so they expanded into that whole warehouse. They bought more like big fermenters. That's what this picture is the fermenter where they're making the OxyRays product that takes the oxygen out of a medium. So they're making little petri dishes where you can test bits of medical material. Often the way this is done now, a hospital has to fill the whole tray of 20 petri dishes to test the whole thing. This lets them test one at a time. So especially for smaller markets, this is really useful because it gets results back to patients much faster. So, and it cuts the cost down for the hospitals. So that's the OxyRays product. It's going well and they're expanding. Kaufman Corvette, you guys have probably been to Kaufman. They have been making Corvette replacement parts for the 53 to 73 set of Corvettes. They've been making metal parts for a long time. They've been really successful at that. They haven't been doing much in the fiberglass side. So that's the body panels of Corvettes. They're unusual because they're fiberglass. During COVID, that was a tough time for a lot of those parts suppliers. And one of their, adjacent partners doing the fiberglass work in Oregon didn't make it through the pandemic. and they were looking to sell. So Coffin was in a strong position. They bought that. We helped them find financing to support buying that company and moving those molds back here. And I was just there last week, saw them taking the hood, a brand new hood out of the mold and kind of knocking it out of the mold. And it was really pretty amazing. It's a giant piece of fiberglass they got out, and it looked beautiful. So they're expanding and into fiberglass. They've done some fiberglass work before. Now they're doing the fiberglass pieces. The last one is Innovision Automation, which is out in Madison, the other way on Park Avenue. They make manufacturing automation systems. So a lot of our local companies are using them to automate some of the more regularly done processes. You know, when things are very repetitive, it's difficult to get employees to do the same repetitive task over time. So they're automating those parts and using those employees to do higher level tasks that take more thought. So they're automating those very repetitive tasks, especially in the auto sector, and they are bursting at the seams. Like, it's difficult to walk around the projects they're building. So they're adding another building on the back, giving themselves more space. That's going to be like a showroom and testing facility. And they're booked weeks.
Will that come with any new jobs, Barrett?
I'm sorry.
Will that come with any new jobs? How many is attached to the grant?
I have a spreadsheet for that.
So the total for the 6 is the 41 that's on the page, all 6 projects together
Right.
The first
Just trying,
for 6 months.
these are just some of your more unique projects for the half year. I'm just trying to, when I was going through this morning.
Yeah, so there's 8 jobs associated with that.
I would imagine the first 2 probably won't come with new jobs that you have on the highlights.
They all come with new jobs.
They do all come with new jobs. Okay.
So if you're getting jobs,
So Chase has to hire a couple people, Kaufman, that's cool.
they have already hired some. Yeah. All those jobs coming, or all projects coming with Jobs Ohio support have new jobs. So a diverse set of companies in different industries, different places in the county, all growing.
It's probably difficult, but this would be something you guys know more than me. How does a community, a county, doesn't even have to be Richland. I mean, these are all good things, new jobs. How does a county track net jobs per se? How would you guys in the economic development field say, okay, we have 6 new project wins, 41 new jobs? How do we know that's going with the rest of the county? Meaning, have we lost more jobs even though we're adding 41? How do you even track that?
There are databases that kind of track that over time and they estimate it, but they're all estimations. They're all kind of top down, like this is what's happening in the state, this is what's kind of happening in these regions, and then they estimate what it's like in your county. These are ground up numbers, like I can point to these companies and those jobs. So this is very different than what those top down numbers are. But that's kind of how it's done.
So the new jobs that come with incentives come with reporting requirements.
Right.
It's over 3 years and they have to.
It's a lot easier to track because
Yeah, but the jobs lost is difficult because sometimes they're one-off. There's only a certain threshold. Was it 40?
I think 50 jobs requires the WARN notice.
Right.
if WARN notices are even issued.
Right. Yeah, not all companies do it.
Correct.
Sometimes, there's 40 jobs that get cut.
And it's probably not part of the equation or the that are available, but have gone unfilled because they don't have people to apply for them. No?
Those are more trackable, but
What's Burning Glass called next? There's a database.
New company, yes. So Burning Glass is kind of the universal or most highly used software that scrapes all of that information, combines the data from jobs that are posted, unemployment data, all of that, puts it together. For example, it's what Jobs Ohio and Team Neo uses to produce it. So to the point, if if you lose 35 jobs, for example, we know we lost a restaurant this year. That was potentially 35 to 50 jobs, but it's hard to track all of that.
Right.
It's impossible to track all that flux in the market. So that's and it's a very big challenge.
It's just, look, it's a good question for Georgine taxpayer to say, hey, is our community growing? Are we gaining jobs? And it's a very difficult question to answer sometimes.
There is an overall, the Bureau of Labor Statistics, I believe,
Right.
publishes an overall employment number. But again, it's,
How real, I know, that's,
I mean, how accurate is it? I don't always think it's super, but
It's complicated because Clint just mentioned we lost a restaurant recently.
Yeah.
But I know the V and M restaurant closed because they didn't have people,
Mhm.
lack of staff.
and Cheddar's closed and that's probably what you were thinking.
how much.
So, yeah,
Well, and all of.
and those can hire on site. They weren't full-time necessarily, but they employed a lot of people, but they
All
probably
of
got
these
scooped up.
projects that we're talking about don't include retail and local projects. So they're all traded sector projects. So, new restaurants that are opening aren't even included in this.
Right,
And that was my point. I mean, you talked tracking jobs.
all right, because those people, those servers or staff could have gone to another restaurant that needed help, because we know everyone's hiring, so
And
that
some,
may not have been a true job loss.
It's easier to say how many healthcare jobs have we gained or lost in Richland County because we can focus on that sector, or manufacturing because we can focus on that sector. It's easier to get a better idea there than it is to say what are the net
Right,
jobs we've gained or lost in the entire county.
Can the unemployment and jobs and family service give you any idea?
well, Daryl, then that brings in a whole new set of circumstances. What's true unemployment?
Correct.
How many of those individuals on unemployment are employable?
I mean, they do produce statistics for sure at the state level and then again, BLS on the national level.
I've-
And we look at those. I mean, that's definitely a number that we need to be aware of. We're asked those questions when prospects come in. We're asked about our labor participation rate, things like that. So, they're numbers that we certainly look at, but I think closer, to Barrett's point, like these are numbers that we can really, stand behind and also they're the only, these are only projects we're involved in. So likely in fact, guaranteed, there's jobs being added that we're not involved in. So, actually there's more growth in this.
And companies expanding that I don't have a tool to incentivize. So
Yeah, like if Ohio Health expands or any of the hospital, like it's very rare that we can do a whole lot just because of the way that the incentives work.
any of the medical service providers, I don't know. difference.
Do you want to say anything about attraction? I know you've got it there.
Yeah, so we responded to 21 business attraction opportunities. That is a lot. And we're getting pickier and pickier about what we respond to because there's so many opportunities. A lot of them in the electric vehicle space, a lot of them in batteries and chip supply chain. So we're kind of picking those ones that really do fit here and responding to those. So this number of 21 in 6 months is higher than what we were doing last year.
And I'll just add to that, in the state budget recently, obviously they re-upped the brownfields and demo money. Obviously you're very aware of because of the land bank. And we think that has some implications certainly for economic development, as well as site development money. And the governor had asked for $2.5 billion. He didn't get that, but I think he got somewhere. I haven't seen the exact number, but it was about a quarter of what he asked for. And so we do want to try to be very aggressive at of that money here into Richland County. We've already had conversations with Senator Romanchuk and Representative John, and we'll certainly want the commissioner's support as we move forward in that process. So as usual, it's passed to the state, but nobody has any details. So, more to come on that, but we think that would really help us because one of the things we need is additional sites. So if we want to keep responding to attraction, we need someplace to put people.
So, and I've talked to you guys before about that Site Ohio process.
Mhm.
Doing that work has seeded all the right, that's kind of doing all the homework. so that we know how to make that ask to Jobs Ohio when that fund becomes available. They know exactly what we're gonna have.
Just doing some quick math here, we had 41 new jobs and the new county payroll is 2.1 million. It equates to each job being an average of $51,200, and that's pretty reasonable.
Mhm.
Jody Perry money right there.
Aiming for higher skill, higher paid jobs.
Yes.
Yeah,
So,
all
As you
good.
described.
Yep.
When you explain what the companies do.
All right, so moving to the northern part of the county. I like to say Shelby out punches its weight class, and I think that these numbers reflect that. We talked about, if you haven't heard about Lloyd Rebar's expansion, I feel like it's been a little bit of everywhere, but certainly we were on the ground helping them get prepped for that. They did a tax abatement through the city. It's a $10 million plus expansion. I think $10 million really just scratches the surface, to be honest. If you've driven by Technology Parkway, the building is massive. They have a giant outdoor crane helping to facilitate the movement of rebar from here to this. So it's underway, it's happening. They are probably going to double their workforce over the next 3 to 5 years. There was some question, I guess, about, obviously this is tied to one specific project. What happens when that project is finished, assuming that it finishes. They basically said, once you're in that kind of class of work, that's now where you stay. You kind of built that reputation for yourself. So the expansion is, while it is for, one project specifically, they now are able to compete in that field. So ongoing good news for Shelby. The other project that, in our 2 projects with incentives that close is Custom Control Technologies, which that was a big win. We may have talked about it last time. It actually just closed early this year, but that was a control manufacturer for pumps. And they work through a third party with municipalities to help with water flow. So they had local ownership. Those local owners were looking to get out of the business. We talk to our local businesses all the time about succession planning, and here's why. They sold to their biggest customer, which was in North Carolina, with intent to move the company to North Carolina. Thankfully, Kyle Peters, who's running the show in Shelby now, wanted to stay here and made a case for it. Brought us in, and we were able to help and get them some incentives. They've now bought their building and they're fully invested in Shelby. He's been able to attract talent. It's a really great story, which we will tell in multiple ways in this coming year, because it just really is a great story. So we were able to partner with them and keep them here in Richland County. As we look forward, we're talking with companies all the time, and I just echo the sentiment that post-COVID here in Richland County, manufacturing is booming. Everybody's looking for more space, and where can we grow? And the challenge is finding them space here so that they stay here. So we've got a couple companies that are looking at space. In theory, we could probably keep them both, but they may be looking at the same space. So that's what we have to focus forward on. Facade improvement grants is something we've been working on in Shelby on the Main Street side. So you've heard about phase 1 and phase 2. You guys helped out with phase 2. Thank you for that. It's actively being worked on now. Hopefully we'll have a big celebration. You'll all be invited in likely October. But along with some of that public infrastructure and public funding, we are also doing some private funding, and facade improvement grants are a way to align the city and our local building owners so that we can have improvements on the private side on Main Street as well. So we've done $10,000 grants for the last 3 years, and this year we did 20, which will result in $88,000 being poured into Main Street on Shelby, which is huge. So super excited about that. And then I think I'll end with Black Fork Brewing, which if you've driven up north, you've seen the building. It's under construction currently. It will be a small batch brewery that is going to open likely in October. So
Oktoberfest, right? We're gonna have an October.
lots of exciting things happening in October. So it will likely open in October. It's also rehomed Shelby favorite Mama's Pizza from its existing location that was city owned, and the city really didn't want to be in the landlord business. So it was kind of a great marriage. They built the building. They'll pull another small business in with them, and we'll have another brewery in town. So we're going to add to that wine and ale trail and bring it up north. So very excited about that. questions, comments?
The Black Fork Brewing Building, where is it located? Is it on 61 or?
It's on Mansfield Avenue. We're coming right into town. So where the old White Plant is, it's directly beside it to the left of it.
Oh, okay.
If you're familiar with Mama's Pizza, it's right behind it. That building will, the Mama's Pizza building will be torn down.
So it's behind.
Mom's getting an upgrade.
Yeah. Yep. So.
Great.
A lot this month. Every week for the last 3 weeks. We in the last 6 months, we've been working to continue the theme in workforce development of partnership. How do we bring everyone to get in the same boat and start rowing in the same direction? It's been a continuous effort for years, and we're continuing to make progress through the chamber becoming the administrator of the Area 10 Workforce Development Board, which of course includes both Richland and Crawford counties. But we've got a lot of work done in the last 6 months in that area. One of our initial goals was to increase the amount of money that we were channeling to our businesses for upskilling their employees or bringing on new employees through the form of on-the-job training dollars. We've increased that by 90% in the last 6 months. We've used $100,000 just on incumbent worker training, on the job training. So that is utilizing funds to upskill workers that are in the building and also subsidizing the payroll of new hire employees that are coming on at employers to the tune of about 50% of their wages, which is an opportunity we're looking to spread the word more about. We want our employers to know what's available to them through the WIOA board. And this team is working together to do that in our business retention and expansion visits, and the evidence is there, as you can see in the dollars that we've spent so far in 2023. Also, our team is expanding through that effort in the administrating of the WIOA board. We're bringing on a workforce coordinator. Cindy Truex has joined the team. She's started some work last week. She'll be back in tomorrow for the workforce board meeting. If you're there, you'll be able to meet her at that. And we're excited to bring more hours and or more capacity in to continue the work we're doing in workforce. So lots of work in that workforce development board efforts. We were awarded $100,000 to continue those outreach efforts. We're working to identify the vendor that's going to manage that project for us. We're hoping the board will vote to do that tomorrow. So we'll be able to roll out the details of that. The goal of that is to continue the outreach to both employers and employees to create the awareness of the jobs that are available, the resources that are available through the Ohio Means Job Center, through the WIOA board for businesses, and continue to expand that reach in those activities. Do you have a question?
No.
Or move on? Okay. All right. Another activity we did recently, we partnered with Mid-Ohio Educational Services Center and the Regional Manufacturing Coalition to create a manufacturing teacher boot camp, where we took teachers on a week-long experience to visit manufacturers, understand what the jobs are, see the environments so that they could develop curriculum and put that curriculum in the classroom and talk about very specific employers, very specific work and careers that are available in the county and the region. So this was done in Richland, Crawford, and Morrow counties over the last month. And those teachers got continuing education credits through Ashland University. So the point of that is an effort to increase our workforce participation rate over time in Richland County and maintain the talent that's coming out of the schools here. So we want the teachers to know what the messaging should be about the careers and the work and the wages that are available to our students. So we're working to grow that knowledge so they could build specific lesson plans in their classroom that pertain to our local employers. So that moving forward, our students and their parents learn more about what the careers are that are available to them here in Richland County.
Having been a former vocational teacher, I think that's an excellent program to get the teachers in there, because not necessarily the vocational teachers, but the normal academic teachers have no idea, for the most part, on what's going on. And they have this mindset that working in a factory is dirty and all that. And you walk through some of our manufacturing places and no offense to the schools, but some of them are cleaner than the schools.
Something we've said a lot is it's not your grandfather's manufacturing, right? It's very, very different. And that was, it's a program that was kind of seeded by the Lieutenant Governor's office. And Amy Wood at Mid-Ohio Educational Service Center started that. We brought Regional Manufacturing Coalition into the fold and helped develop that partnership so we could get more businesses involved and better tell that exact story. I mean, we visited companies like both Gorman-Rupp's, GRI in Belleville, Gorman-Rupp here, Jones Potato Chips, Skybox. I think it was 7 manufacturers total. So it was a very wide variety of technology involved in industry, but focused in manufacturing.
Great partnership.
And we hope that it grows. We're already talking about what that could look like next year. Not just manufacturing, but in technology, maybe the cyber world, if it's cybersecurity or coding or what can we add to that in 2024?
To underscore what Commissioner Banks said, my background's in manufacturing and also did a little bit of teaching along the way. But so what grade level were these teachers?
It ran the entire gamut. So you had
Secondary plus
third grade, you had third grade teachers, guidance counselors, high school teachers, math teachers. It was completely across the board. So a little bit of everything.
But that was a real eye opener. I assume many of them have never been in a manufacturing facility before.
A lot of them saw a lot of things that they didn't expect to see.
Yeah, and those that have been in manufacturing over the last 10 years, technology has really taken over. And to Commissioner Banks' point, they're a lot cleaner now because they have to be because of the technology. I that myself.
We were excited to be a part of it. And it was good to see it was exciting to see the teachers and hear the conversation and hear the questions that they had for the employers, which were almost endless. We had to cut the time. Like, we have to go to the next place.
Brilliant move. Yeah, great idea.
So that's just that was another partnership that we were a part of. And then the reverse job fair, Employment Palooza that we had in May, where students had the tables and employers came to them. So the students put themselves on display, looking for summer work, seasonal work, part-time work, or post-high school careers. We raised the bar for the students and asked them themselves to employers. And the employers came in and visited with them. You can see the results there. 5 students that we know of landed jobs. Over 20 interviews were scheduled, and that was a success. Those students really, no pun intended, but they came to the table. They brought their skills and their communication abilities, and the energy in the room was exciting to see. That was the second year we've done that, and we're looking to continue to grow that. So
I want to ask this question. I hear a lot from people who say that this generation of students are less communicative because of social media, interact electronically and less face-to-face. So in your experience with this program, how did that come across?
In my experience with it, the students that came to that participated in that event both years were very eager to talk to individuals. Most of the staff were there and experienced it. Just the volume in the room would tell you that that's not necessarily the case across the board. Now, is that the case for some of our young people or a portion of our young people? Yes, it's going to be. But I think it's not a generalization. I think that there are still a lot of young people that are extremely social. And that's kind of the goal of that event, is to force them to come out of that shell if they're in a shell, or to give them the opportunity to showcase the fact that they do have the communication to break that stigma with employers, if that makes sense.
It does. Yeah,
I'll just add one thing too. We've had Lloyd Rebar come and speak at a couple of different events, and they have mentioned they had some difficulties. As Jared puts it, nobody gets out of bed and wants to bend rebar in the morning like that. Nobody wakes up and says, this is what I want to do. But they've had a lot of success in striating that generational gap. So they've automated quite a bit. They have a huge robot, like one of two in the United States. And so it allows an older workforce to participate, because before, it was kind of backbreaking work. It's not so much anymore. You don't have to touch the rebar as much. So now they've been able to have the younger generation and the older generation working together. And he said it's been amazing because they bring different skills to the table. And there's some mentorship happening going both ways. And it's really kept people and it's changed the culture. So I think there's something to be said for that integration of generational, workforce that is helpful to help both of them understand each other.
So one thing I would say about this event, what we just said about manufacturing, and this is not your grandfather's manufacturing. We want to get the teachers in and see what those work environments are actually like. The goal of this is to put our young people on display so that employers can understand what they're really interested in. So they come and talk to them instead of staying in their buildings and hoping that they come to them or trying to figure out how to reach them. We're putting them in a public forum and those students are coming out, and we want employers to come and engage with them so that they understand, what that generational gap is going to create and what the characteristics of those young people actually are, not just what the perceptions that have been created.
Jessica, I like your comment about the mentorship going both ways, because I envision these new, younger students that are but new workers are more computer savvy perhaps than some of the older workers that have been manufacturing for a long time. So I envision that would be how the mentorship would go both ways. And some of the older people are less savvy than the newer ones. So I like that comment that you made. Makes sense to me.
Things I just want to add to that. First, as they've all kind of said, nothing we do is alone, really. And collaboration and partnerships really are at the very heart of our work. And I think thanks to the leadership and you choosing us to take over the WIOA board, that has even accelerated that in workforce by more formally tying us with Crawford. So, we've had a lot of conversations with the Crawford partnership, the chambers over there, to really talk about, because at the end of the day, businesses don't see jurisdictional boundaries that, they're going to hire from wherever. And so we think that's a really great opportunity going forward. And the second thing is you'll see a formal announcement next week on this, but we're the only location in Ohio that's going to receive a national tech grant, which is really going to help us to do some more workforce development work around technology and upskilling there. So you'll hear a lot more about that soon. But, again, the heart of that whole grant writing process was the partnerships and the collaboration that we have. I think that's what made us stand out on that. So good stuff.
One other thing I'll add around data. One of the things that we look at a lot, since Jody mentioned Crawford County, is what we call the inflow outflow report, which is the number of employees driving in to work here, the number of employees driving out, and how that all shakes down. So that's a much longer conversation, and I'd be happy to come or talk to any of you individually or show you how we look at that to analyze who are our employees, how many people are leaving Richland County to go work somewhere else, how many are driving in from our surrounding counties, and what that data tells us about our employees. So that's a pretty, and can be a pretty intense presentation, but I'd be happy to talk to you about it in depth so that you can see how that plays into how many employees, what is our net loss, what is our net gain, and how does that affect our employment.
Right.
Well, that's a really great segue, because that inflow out report kind of was the catalyst for Richland Works, and showing that so many people were leaving the county. Something needed to be done to show people that there were really great careers available within Richland County, which is what sparked Richland Works. So I know I've talked about that several times. It's an extensive project that began in April of 2022. 35 districts have now been videoed and have photography done. Those videos show what it's like to work for those companies, the culture, a real view of what it is to be inside there, similar to what the teachers experienced in the boot camp. It's helping to get the idea out there of what is available, because if you don't know, you don't know. And, previously there was this vacuum of what's available here and the narrative of there are no good jobs in Richland County. So this project has been decimating that viewpoint to show that, yes, there are plenty of careers here. The views on the videos just keep expanding and expanding. And that is one of the projects that actually got us on the radar for the Chamber of the Year Award. It's an innovative project. They just absolutely loved it and love the impact that it's making for the community. We recently sent a follow-up survey to the employers that we have highlighted on social media, and we can attribute 6 direct hires to the Richland Works project. So, it's been great to bring people in. The companies are using it on their own career websites. They take it to job fairs a lot, the video. So, they just have to sit there and show it. New hires, people are coming in, they're showing the videos. One company, Schmidt Security Pro, they have a business card with a QR code that whenever they are in any talent attraction scenario, they just give them out, and they have, just have to scan the card. It takes them right to their page. They watch the video. So, it's helping to bridge that gap of no communication and not knowing what's happening. So it's been an incredible project. We're just ending the first phase of social media for the first 25 companies and about to embark on the final 10. So great project, extreme collaboration between Jobs Ohio, Areaton, Workforce for all of the 35 companies, DRM, New Day, Creative. It's been an incredible process of everybody working together to get on the same boat or in the same direction. So that's been an exciting project. And another way that I'm helping to get these incredible stories out there, we've begun a new series to talk about these retention visits that the team is doing. The plan is to maybe do 3 or 4 a year to talk about these stories in a visual format. So actually, I have up here on the screen a recent blog and video created with Global Medical Foam. If you want to play that, you'll have to scroll. Yeah, there you go.
I think it's,
We make pressure redistribution products for pressure relief and positioning. And it's really based around the guidelines, the government guidelines that are set forth for us for hospitals, long-term care centers, hospice, and home health. We've been in business 27 years this year. We just received some grant money, which was a true blessing because we were growing out of the building where we were at. And the grant dollars allowed us to be able to come into a space that is about 12,000 square feet. Been able to bring in another packaging person, products and packaged and labeled. And then also we now have 3 loading docks where over there we only have 1. It's just allowed us a huge growth.
Global Medical Foam was ready to expand and they needed support to help pay for the infrastructure for the new facility. And this grant helped do that. They had additional market share that they were able to capture. People interested in buying their products, they physically couldn't create any more in the space that they had. So they were able to use this money to expand, grow their capacity, warehousing, production capacity, and hire an additional salesperson to increase that revenue. Take these products, they're made in Lexington and some all over the world.
We have been able to grow our business in revenue, and hopefully we're going to double our business share, not triple it.
This is something that works with all businesses in Richland County. we're happy to have those conversations and understand business needs and find resources that fit for everyone.
Yeah, so we've mentioned before, success begets success, and the whole purpose for being here for RCDG is to help other businesses expand and do the things they need to do optimally. By telling stories like this, other businesses will know, okay, well, this is something that maybe we want to get involved in too. You know, what can they help us with? So we're hoping that this helps share that word, and also more storytelling with the community of really, really cool things happening here in Richland County. So yeah, that's mine. Any questions?
No,
210,000 views, huh?
Yeah, on Richland Works. It's, yeah. Yeah, the employees of the companies get excited, as they should, you know, when they enjoy where they work. You know, they see themselves or someone they know on the videos, and, you know, this is local homegrown stuff. So it's like, oh, look, he's a superstar.
done very well.
Thank you.
I've walked in companies and they say, hey, that video you guys did, we got someone hired because they saw that video. We're like, hey, this is interesting. I'm not asking, and they're like coming out and telling us that. It's pretty exciting.
Nice. Anything else?
That's big stuff, right? Unless I'm forgetting something, it's possible.
Except for August 1st. Yes, we hope to have a huge announcement on August 1st.
Yeah,
Coming attractions, right?
Chamber of the Year.
and business after hours is at Arsenal Middle in August.
Third.
August.
Have you ever heard of that place, Tom?
Occasionally.
Not many people have been in the main office building. It's a really cool building, so
Is
there
that where it is?
opportunity?
I've never been in there.
It's really cool. They have the old time clock thing, wheel. It's cool.
Nice.
Nice.
Okay. Carl?
Oh, I got a litany.
Oh, wow.
Get all these guys in the,
Time's up. Thank you very much.
get all these guys in the room at the same time. When you were here, out, you unpacked that side Ohio visit. What's going to be one go impact?
So I think we understand our sites from the perspective of a site selector now. I am responding to business attraction efforts in a way that fits that more accurately. So kind of targeting our effort more effectively and working kind of a variety of paths to figure out how we can get site control so we can move some of those forward. Obviously, the site development fund, which is called Ohio for All or thing
I'm not sure what it's called.
close to that. If so, depending on the details of how that program works, that makes a big difference. We might be able to get dollars there to get site control, which will really help move these areas forward.
That kind of what you were talking about when you said you get 21 responses. You now you're able to be more selective based upon the information you got from inside Ohio.
Yeah.
Last year with the kind of, let me go back, it was, a year ago when you came in. Part of what powered the first half of 22 was largely based on CNG. What's the status? What's your update? Anything new with CNG?
There's lots of things that are new with CNG. I don't think I can talk about any of them.
We could work in the way.
Pick up.
Last year's annual report, I think you described, guys just trying to find the story now. I think it was 9 wins, 353 jobs, payroll. What's that pace look like this year? I see 41 new jobs. You had 353 a year ago. What's any chance of matching that or what's the?
Again, a huge part of that 353 was powered by CNG. So we've got some attraction projects that we're working through that would meet or exceed those numbers, but all the attraction stuff is very up in the air.
On the expansion side, I'll just say we're seeing smaller job numbers. We're seeing more automation for sure. They're working smarter. We're seeing the upskilling of our employees, so high wage, high skill, as opposed to a whole bunch of entry level. So I think we're pleased with, even though it's 41 jobs, as Cliff indicated with the payroll numbers, like we're seeing the kind of jobs that we want to see, as opposed to a giant number, which will of entry level jobs.
I would say probably 80% of the over $100,000 in upskilling and OJT is specifically focused on efficiency. Upskilling and working more efficient.
The trend in business attraction projects is more CapEx in per job. So that CapEx per job number keeps going up.
Anything new? I know, Medina built that big $9 million spec building out on Airport West Road. Been there now for a year or so. What's kind of the prospects for that? Are there still good prospects out there for that space?
Yes. I have not gotten permission to talk about that publicly, but yes.
And last I knew, and I haven't driven out there lately, Randy was gonna buy 14 more acres and look at another spec building. Is that still something that's?
Yeah, so Adina Development is a partner in developing out Airport West. They're doing some site work on that this summer. And I think the next building will depend on the next attraction project that ends up.
Can I jump in just on my question? With Adina, how much control do they have over those guys in that space, or is that something that's shared?
Site ownership is key. And they have site control there. But they're partnering with us for deal flow and how to.
And they've been great partners.
And they have it.
A little bit less looking over the Ontario Commerce Center. I know there's talk about trying to get the land bank to help with demolition stuff out there. Anything that's new that you can talk about that facility?
So the Ontario Commerce Park is not a brownfield. It's clean. It's got its covenant not to sue from the Ohio EPA. So it is demolition money that they would be going after to grind up the concrete slab and fill the pit. The big problem. So the developer who's got control of that is working with the land bank to put together a proposal to put in with the set of land bank proposals that will go in day one when that portal.
And you guys work with that developer as well in terms of marketing his place.
Yeah.
Talk about Intel for a minute. Where's the next wood rebar? Where's the next company? You talked about responses to attraction opportunities. You talked about, you mentioned the word chip. Obviously, it's a big chip place coming south. So where's the next wood rebar? Okay, will we see more companies like that in the near future that have specific missions on behalf of Intel?
That's the idea. So it's really finding the right space. So it's building out sites, having building inventory, so that when those companies come looking, we have something to sell.
And there are already existing local companies that are making active plays to be a supplier in some form or fashion. I think, to my knowledge, though, it's just that too early in the process because that's such a massive build. but
We did early on share, there was an opportunity for anyone who would be interested in being a supplier. There was zero specificity. They could log into a portal and express that desire. And we did share that with all of our companies and some did. And I think they all had to sign an NDA. So
Right. That was the response was from the NDA.
Yeah.
And so we
Don't talk
know
about it.
what
Yep.
happened.
I know, the Intel big announcement's been a while now. How hard is it to be optimistic and not lose patience in the process? In terms of what Intel might mean to specifically Richland County.
Carl, this is such a long game. Like, I mean, everything we do is on super long timelines.
I think for me, I drive by Lloyd Rebar and see the giant building going up and seeing how they've been affected and it's very real.
and the fact that they're moving dirt down there now too, I think just from a statewide perspective has maybe alleviated a lot of fears that this would be, something that doesn't move forward. So it certainly seems to be. And then, they have additionally, I mean, just recently, there was the big announcement by what tech company was it? Amazon?
Yeah,
I mean,
Amazon's
yeah.
putting in nearly $8 billion.
Yes.
They don't.
For something.
know where they're all going.
And we don't know where it's going and what it's gonna do, but so Ohio has continued to attract the Honda plant in wherever that is, south of Columbus. So, and that is definitely affecting the deal flow on the attraction side for suppliers and yeah. So,
When prospects come to town and do site visits and look around, obviously they're looking at workforce, looking at the quality of life. But how big, Richland County just finished, the last several months, its countywide housing study. When these prospective companies come to town, do they look at that? How seriously do they say, well, if I come here, I can have places for people to live, and how can you guys impact that process?
So it's a combination of a company's gonna come here and they're gonna bring some of their people, but they're going to look to hire the majority of their workforce here. And I think what helps make that decision for them is this a growing community? And the housing stock is going to help us grow the population, which makes us a growing community, which makes it easier to attract more business.
And I would say that's exactly why we have a role in the housing study. Housing is not necessarily what we do, but we see the importance and value of housing our workforce. So we have stepped up and, taken a part in that study. And then further, we continue that steering committee to look at, okay, we know we need development. We need certain kinds of development. How do we make that happen? Eliminate barriers.
What I had.
Greg?
I may talk to you guys in the hallways, it's a little easier to interview. Great.
Al, do you have any questions for our friends here?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Okay,
well, I would be remiss if I did not say thank you again for your support of our CDG and the chamber for economic development, certainly now for the WIOA board as well. I mean, you have been great partners with us. We do not take that for granted and we are really appreciative. So,
thank you.
yes,
Together.
thank you.
Okay, thank you all very much.
Thank you.
See y'all next week. When you're coming back, what, again, next week or something?
I don't know yet.
I think we're
Well, the workforce board, right?
gonna start charging them rent.
Barrett for like
You can
5 minutes.
take them if you want.
Okay, let's move on to items on the agenda. I have a motion to certify the record of proceedings for July 13th.
Moved.
Premier,
Yes.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrow.
Yes.
I have a motion to approve the annual maintenance agreement for security equipment, which is the X-ray machine at the entrance of the courthouse.
So move.
Second.
Commissioner Mears,
Yes.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrow.
Yes.
I have a motion to approve the CDBG agreement with the Village of Shiloh.
Missing a comma on the agreement in the 2.331.
Yeah, that's right, about the third paragraph from the bottom.
So I don't think that changes the substance, but just be aware, so moved. Yes.
Second.
Commissioner Mears,
Yes.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Barrow,
Yes.
Have any motion? Oh, we're here to announce, right, the filing of an annexation, 14.828 acres from Jefferson Township to the village of Belleville.
I did some digging on this morning. Our auditor system shows that they're already in the village of Belleville. It's the Storyside Church. I always believed that to be in the village of Belleville. Now, I know there was some,
not Story Side.
City Church.
well, City Side became,
Okay,
City Church
Church
became Storyside, my understanding.
all right.
I always believed that to be in Belleville. Now, I know there was some tax exemption as a church. And that may or may not have removed acreage. Now, I don't know if that has impacted this, but Daryl, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but is that not in the village or is that just a procedural item related to the tax filing? Pat if you look now, City Church shows 11 acres and that's the 3 acres. There's total 14 acres. Some came out of the tax exemption, some is still taxable. Maybe that's the filing, but then they're showing for the total acreage of 14,828. And our system shows, if you look in the auditor's property list, that they're within the municipality of Belleville. The only thing I can think of is maybe it's related to the tax filing, but as of right now, here it is. I highlighted it. I show it's in Belleville.
You own more property and possibly this is the property behind it. It's awful narrow going out through there. The village of Belleville, consists of the along 97 until you get out to past where the bike trail changes there and then it spreads out.
So Daryl, if you look at their other property, okay. I show that portion that's unincorporated is 8.869. That the 14 acres is in Belleville. So I don't know if they got the wrong property or if it's related to tax exemption, but I do show City Church Inc. parcel number ending 4003. And I show that's in an unincorporated area and that's the property directly. I would say the northeast corner there.
The map shows an 8-acre parcel and 5.
It's unincorporated, correct.
That's what they're trying to annex.
Well, it says 14.828.
Total is 14, but there's 2 different parcels. According to their plat map that they
Okay.
submitted.
The,
Parcels, one that ends in 006 and one that ends in 003.
let me see here.
Who they're asking.
There's 006.
Acreage total is correct, 14,828.
That's what they're asking for on their map.
Okay, so then it's 8 and 5 and 30. Okay, so they're seeking. Okay. That would make more sense. You answered my question.
And all we're doing is announcing it, right?
Right. If I'm doing the adding up here, let's see, 8.87 plus 0.96, 18.83. That's about right. Okay, so it's a 2 parcel. Good.
So do they still go to City Church or Story?
Storyside.
Storyside.
That answers my questions.
The ownership must be City Church.
The ownership is City Church.
And when they first moved down there, they called it church, so probably didn't change that.
Okay. All right, so it has been announced. Further business is to approve the updated public defender hourly rate resolution for capital cases. It increased to $140 an hour, and that is the only change in the appointed council rate.
It is set by the state of Ohio, not us. So motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Mears.
Yes.
Commissioner Banks,
Yes.
Commissioner Vero.
Yes.
The state since they reimbursing it 100%, what percentage are they reimbursing it?
On capital cases,
You get the complete reimbursement on that, but I have to go back and double check.
I'd have to look.
I know that was a.
But probably other cities,
Probably something I
counties will,
should know, but right now in my mind, I knew at one time.
and other counties will keep raising it up so that it'll be in the 80 something rather than 100. Not necessarily on the 140 though.
I do have one add-on.
We do have one add-on order of business, a notice of ARPA expenditure for snow bar retention system out at the fairgrounds. At a cost of $49,550.
No guards
I will make that motion.
on the roof of the youth building. Tony, you want to second the ARPA expenditure?
Check, trying to get an answer on defense. So,
The ARPA expenditure for the snow guards,
so move second.
the roof building.
Second.
Commissioner Mears,
Yes.
Banks.
Yes.
Commissioner Vero.
Yes.
Any other business to be conducted at this time? Oh, yeah, Carl, any questions?
Nope.
Al, any questions?
Yeah, do you know what the previous rate on the capital case? When we moved to 140, what was it before, do you know?
I'll have to look. I can't remember.
Okay, if it's not too much trouble, and you can just,
Yep.
email me.
Okay.
That's all I had. Thank you.
Okay. So we have a late change to our agenda. Kara Russell with the building department will not be coming this morning. That discussion for a later date. So no action to be taken at this time. Next item we've got is a proclamation, which will be at 11 o'clock. At this time, the Richland County Board of Commissioners stands recess for 28 minutes. Hey, it is 11 o'clock. The Richland County Board of Commissioners is back in session out of recess. We're joined by by Judge Robinson, as well as some folks with probation. Would you go ahead and introduce yourselves, those from,
Melissa Harrison,
and your title, please?
big officer. Lindsay Hobbs, drug court probation. Joanne Craftsman, ranch court coordinator.
Jason Hoover, drug court coordinator.
Robbins. Well, thank you all for being here. We're here to recognize some of the fine work you do. Would anybody like to talk about the things you do and the value it adds to the community prior to the Board of Commissioners providing this proclamation for you?
Well, we like that you guys are here instead of JJ. So again, this is a good day for Richland County. I just want to make sure we can go on the record with that.
Appreciate that, sir.
Make sure he knows that we said that too.
This is your chance to brag. Tell us of all the great things you guys do. We know of some wonderful things you've done for the community. So somebody want to recap? Because I think there's a lot of lack of information about the services you provide. Somebody fill in that void.
Like Jason can do, I'll volunteer him, he can do drug court, or Joanne can do. And yeah. Melissa can talk if she'd like to. Melissa knows about drug court also because she's a provider for drug court. She's such a good provider, we decided to hire her.
Well, there you go. So spotlight's on you.
Supervision, provide the service to the community by keeping individuals who did a crime out of jail and out of prison. While they're on supervision, they are required to hold full-time employment. If we have drug issues or violent, they are mandated to get treatment. Busy helping them learn new coping skills, things that they may not have been learning as they were raised. And to provide them, adequate services and maintaining sobriety and employment and being productive members of society, helping, pay towards the tax base, of things. Unfortunately, most people that are on supervision have not held regular employment because of addiction issues. And unfortunately have victimized the community. So it's a matter of getting them services so they don't do those things again. And in drug court, we're very forward. Our success rate is actually above the national average. The national average is roughly around 50%. We currently are around 75% success rate in drug court of people that are not reoffending if they successfully complete the program. We're very proud of that number. Both Judge Robinson and Judge Namoff love drug court. It shows in the way they interact with the offenders and generally show and care for them. A lot of people that are coming through the system have never had that. So it definitely is a benefit in those ways.
I've attended your graduation of mayor's or drug court. Been very impressed in the stories that those people tell and work they've done in the care or not, the kindness that's been shown to them has made a difference.
Joanne.
Yes, ranch report. A ranch report is for those individuals who have not a prison, either on a split sentence type or a judicial release. They will appear before the judge twice a month for the first 3 months. Unless they have obtained employment, then they will only have to attend ranch court once a month. We do work closely with engineering components who will directly hire our people that are in ranch court or even probation. Despite having a felony conviction, the Mansfield Engineering Components is a strong, firm believer in second chances. And they they employ a lot of our people, so there's no reason for someone not to have a job. The Ridge Report, we also, when people come out, they're in need of housing, clothing, mental health, substance abuse services. We coordinate with the Richland County Citizen Circle, which is a group of different providers, education providers. You name it, we have a resource for them. They can get them clothing, they can get them their IDs, we can get them into treatment. If they have a vehicle that needs some maintenance, we can assist in that. We can assist them with medical bills, assist them getting driver's license, help provide a solid base for them so they will be successful and do not come back to committing crimes to survive. We have the judges are very, very involved in our individuals, and they will praise them as they succeed, or let them know, hey, this is an area we're going to have to do some further work on. So we're going to suggest, you get more treatment, or refer them to their PO to assist them in their needs so that they will be successful. It's we have a lot of support in the community, and we have to keep our people motivated and busy so they don't have time to get in trouble, and they work on themselves first, and then family support helps with their success as well. Some don't have family support. We may be their only support, or their service providers may be. But we do look for the avenues, make them successful with what we have to provide with them.
Clearly, what you're doing is a win-win, because you're keeping the community safe and you're helping the offender get back on the straight and narrow path.
Yes.
Keeping them accountable.
And even in our reentry court, we have service providers showing up at reentry court. We have Sonia Osborne from Mansfield Engineering there with applications, getting them out saying, hey, call this afternoon. We'll have an interview scheduled for you tomorrow. We can get you to work next week. So we have good resources. We have good people that we work with, and we have a caring community that really do want our people to succeed.
So a big shout out to, is it Mansfield
Mansfield
Engineering Components?
Yes,
A big shout out to them for helping these people out.
absolutely. And another thing about the Mansfield Engineering Components is they bring the Salvation Army in to provide services for the people right there who may need clothing or transportation or assistance with some type of utility medical bills.
Fantastic partnership.
It's a wonderful partnership.
Well, the Richland County Board of Commissioners would like to applaud your efforts by providing you with a proclamation that's signed by all three commissioners. If I may, I'd like to hand that to you, but I'd like to, I won't read the proclamation in its entirety, but I'd like to paraphrase some of what I think hits at the core of what you do. And that is, with this proclamation, whereas community corrections is an essential part of the justice system, and whereas community corrections professionals uphold the law with dignity, while recognize the right of the public to be safeguarded from criminal activity. I think that kind of gets at the core of what you do. You're community professionals who advocate community and restorative justice. So the Board of Commissioners would like to recognize that and provide you with this proclamation. Any of you would like to accept this?
Accepted after she silenced her phone.
Rude, I'm sorry.
Okay.
I meant to turn-
Why don't you all come up and
Yes.
We'll have a photo here.
You can't hide.
Yeah, sure I can. Okay. Thank you all very much. Thanks for all you
Thank
do.
you.
Seriously,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thanks for your service.
Thank you very much.
Good. Thank you. Thanks for coming.
I get spelling of your name.
J-O space capital
We are, you know, always do.
A-R-U-S.
Gentleman who's with you that spoke, what,
Jason Hoover.
O-O-V-E-R?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's like the vacuum.
Appreciate
Always get at
it.
John Smith, S-M-Y-T-H.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you, we will.
We'll just stick closely to our agenda, which 3 minutes before Edson, who has joined us. Talk about the Medicaid biannual sub award. Wow. We'll recess for just a couple of minutes. Take it off, Carl.
Yeah. Done before city council.
It is 11:15. The Richland County Board of Commissioners is back in session. Here with Lori Bedson, Director of Job and Family Service, to talk about an agreement.
Well, this is just a standard sub-grant agreement between the Ohio Department of Job and Family Services and the Ohio Department of Medicaid that allows the county to receive the public assistance operating funds in order to process Medicaid, SNAP, and cash applications. So it also includes our social service operating funding that we'll receive. Our allocations are a little late because of the budget being signed and approved so late. So the state is working diligently to try to get those allocations out to us as soon as possible. But this is just a formal process that they use to pass those monies through to us so we can do that eligibility and maintain those programs.
I would make a motion that we approve the sub-grant agreement.
This is effect from July 1st this year, very retroactive then,
Yes,
till June 30th of 2025.
yes, it's for a biennium.
You have Medicaid employees in-house, correct?
We have what we call eligibility workers that process Medicaid applications. Mhm.
Commissioner Mears.
Yes.
Commissioner Banks.
Yes.
Commissioner Vero.
Yes.
Thank you, it was.
Al still on the line? Al, do you have any questions about this agreement?
Yeah, I walked out of the room for a second. I didn't catch the very beginning.
Okay, well, this is an agreement with Medicaid. It's a biannual sub word agreement that's effective from July 1st this year through June 30th of 2025. And it's a regular renewal, basically.
All right, so
Medicaid.
what does this do? Provide money for services, provide money for administrative, or both, or?
It basically is both, and it just enables us to operate as the administrator of those services in the county. It's all of our public assistance services that includes Medicaid, and then the programs under Ohio Department of Job and Family Services, such as cash assistance, food assistance, other social service programs such as adult protective services, non-emergency transportation. So it covers all of those public assistance programs that we administer.
All right, so in other words, this involves your main funding source for administering these programs.
Correct.
Do you know approximately how much money it involves?
I can tell you on a typical year, we're operating within about a $10 million budget. We don't have our allocations yet because of the late signing and approval of the budget. We have not received those allocations yet. The state is still working on getting those agreements to us that tell us how much our funding will be this coming fiscal year.
Okay, I think that's all I had. Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks, Al. Any other business to come before the Board of Commissioners at this time? Hearing none, the Richland County Board of Commissioners will stand adjourned at 11:19 a.m.
Have a good day.
See you.
Good to see you. Thank you. I know. I can appreciate it. I thought he was.
It's funny you say that because Kelly and I were talking, and she said I were kind of same
Mhm.
language. So. Anybody says. So.
Well,